Hello. So, morning, afternoon. Well, without further ado, I will get to the news you all have been waiting for. We have received another nomination for SG. So, exciting news. This morning, the President of the General Assembly and the President of the Security Council received a nomination of Ms. Michelle Bachelet Yeria. This nomination was presented by Chile, Brazil, and Mexico. In line with Resolution 79/327, the President of the General Assembly and the President of the Security Council will inform member states jointly and circulate the information and communication received shortly. We'll also be updating the website with the required documents, including the vision statement and financial disclosure of this candidate. So that is the big news for today. Just to give you a quick update on other things that are happening in the GA. This morning, the PGA delivered remarks at the opening of the 64th session of the Commission on Social Development, and this was the first session that was convened following the World Summit for Social Development in Doha, so it is a follow-up to that conference that was held in November. There are no plenary meetings scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday. The PGA this week will travel to the Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy. On Friday, some of you may know that she issued the solemn appeal for the Olympic Games, for the Olympic truce, calling on countries to observe the week before through the Winter Games and the week after for the Olympic truce to allow athletes to travel safely and also to observe the spirit of the games in terms of peace. She will attend the opening ceremony of the 25th Olympic Winter Games and 14th Paralympic Games in Milano Cortina at the invitation of the President of the International Olympic Committee, and that will be from 5 to 7 February. She will be there to highlight the importance of sport as a force that unites our divided world. The IOC has held observer status in the UN General Assembly since 2009, enabling it to contribute to UN processes and support activities in areas such as humanitarian assistance, peace building, education, gender equality, environmental protection, and the promotion of health. She will also participate in the torch relay while in Milan, symbolizing the commencement of the Winter Olympic Games, and that will be on Friday, the 6th of February. And she will also meet officials there from the government of Italy and the local government in Milan, as well as Olympic athletes and media covering the Games. Those are the updates for this week on happenings in the PGA and the PGA's travel. Edie and then Abdelhamid. Yes, so Edie first.
Hi, Neice.
Hi.
Thank you. Does the President of the General Assembly have any intention of raising the issue of the UN's dire financial crisis with members of the General Assembly immediately?
Well, as you know, she actually mentioned this already in her priority speech in January, and she made note of this, and this will obviously be something that member states will be discussing. She is gravely concerned about the financial situation of the organization as outlined by the SG.
But that was before the letter was sent to all members of the General Assembly last week. I want to know if she is going to respond directly to that letter and take immediate action.
Well, the immediate action is for member states to take. She has already been very vocal in calling on member states. She has said that while the organization needs to reform, there is no amount of reform that can dig us out of a financial crisis if member states do not pay their dues on time and in full. So this is in terms of,
So whose responsibility would it be to actually get member states to actually go and have a plenary meeting to act on this issue?
Yeah, that is actually up to the member states. The member states provide the mandates for this organization. They then pass the budget for the organization to deliver on those mandates. And if they then do not fund the budget for us to deliver on the mandates, then they need to come together to find a way forward of how we're going to fund. We don't set our own mandates. Those are given to us by member states, and then they pass the budget. in order to deliver on those mandates. And so it is really up to the member states if they would like the organization to deliver on the work that they have given us in the resolutions they've passed, to then come together to find a way forward to fund the budget that they agreed on. Yes, Abdelhamid.
Thank you, Neice. Since UNRWA is mandated by the General Assembly, I wonder if the President of the General Assembly issued a statement condemning the bulldozing of the UN headquarters in Sheikh Jarrah, Jerusalem. I apologize if that happens while I was away, so I want to hear from you if what's her position regarding Israeli destruction of UN UNRWA headquarters in Jerusalem.
The PGA absolutely agrees with the SG, who has described that demolition as unacceptable, and she condemns it. Israel has obligations under international law, including the Convention on the Privileges and Immunities of the United Nations, and those UNRWA premises are United Nations premises. So they are immune from any form of interference, and the International Court of Justice has restated that Israel is obliged to facilitate UNRWA's operations, not hinder them or prevent them. So we need to ensure that as part of the services in Gaza, as part of the ceasefire, that UNRWA can operate. They are integral to delivering those services. And so the PGA has condemned that demolition and has called for those premises to be returned to the United Nations. Mm-hmm. Pam, and then Gabe.
Thank you, Neice. I think you said the PGA is going to Cortina.
She is.
Does she have meetings set up? I mean, there will be so many world leaders there. Have you set an agenda yet?
She is actually going there to celebrate the games and what they symbolize. So she will be participating in the torch relay, for example. She will also be meeting with the head of the IOC, who she has met with before. She will also be meeting with Italian officials from the federal government and the mayor of Milan. And then there will probably be other opportunities to meet with other figures while there. But really, she's going there to stress the importance of the role of sport in peace and development, and the resolutions in the GA that highlight that, and that the important role that sports plays, particularly at this time when you see a world so divided, highlighting how sport can bring people together.
Thank you, and you'll update us
Yes.
on any meetings. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Gabriel.
Hey, Neice, thank you. Who's paying for her trip to Italy?
So for the Italian trip, that will actually be posted on our website. I'm not sure if it's coming from the trust fund that the OPGA has, or if it is funded by other sources. Sometimes with her travel, it is supported by, at the invitation of member states or organizations who have invited her. But under our transparency rules, those things are all published on our website that says where the money is coming from to afford the travel.
Given the fact it was just last week that the Secretary General sent a letter to all 193 member states advising of, in his words, a financial collapse of the UN if something's not done, it could be perceived as the optics of the PGA now going to Italy for, as you just stated, basically for good purposes, but with, quite frankly, limited meetings with high-ranking officials, with no disrespect to the IOC head or to the Italian officials. She clearly, if she's going forward with this, she clearly thinks that it's not a problem. Is that a correct assumption, given the SG's letter last week?
So money comes from different funding sources. Is that money coming from the regular budget that member states, that their dues, those who have not paid dues, those who are delayed in their dues? No. Also, her travel, this is in her role as PGA. It is under a General Assembly mandate. Other PGAs have done this. We understand the financial situation, but also if you look at her travel, she does only necessary travel. If you look at the travel that she has done since she has taken office, there have been very few trips. And so in order to help bring bring attention to, the divisions that we have to help. It is a helpful trip for those reasons, and the funding for that is not coming from the regular budget, which is what is under stress, and it's not coming from member state regular budget assessed dues. So the PGA's office is under a different funding mechanism, and there is a trust fund that is paid for by voluntary contributions by member states. And because of the transparency rules that we have, all of her travel is detailed on the website as well. Yes, Mariam.
Thank you, Neice. Question on Iran. Since everything happened regarding protests in Iran and tens of thousands of people, protesters have been killed, we haven't heard anything from the PGA. Do you have something to share with us that is she worried about everything that is happening in Iran, especially the amount of protesters being detained?
Yeah, the PGA condemns the killing, the excessive use of force against protesters in Iran. And the numbers that have come out in recent days since last week reports that the murders of protesters have exceeded more than 30,000 people, shock the conscience, and she finds them absolutely unacceptable. All Iranians have the right and must be able to express their demands peacefully. This is a human right, including the freedom of expression, the freedom of assembly, the freedom of association must be fully respected in accordance with international law. These human rights violations must stop immediately, and there must be accountability for all these crimes that have been committed and justice for the people of Iran. But this excessive force she finds unacceptable. Yes.
Hi, Neice.
Hi.
I'm sure you've been asked this already, but what is the mechanism for member states losing their vote in the General Assembly if they haven't paid into the regular budget?
Yes, so the mechanism is that if they are in arrears for 2 years of dues, then they would then lose their vote in the General Assembly. So the mechanism means that you have not paid anything. So there are some states that are in arrears, but not for the full amount, for example. And there are some states, there is also a mechanism whereby a country can, if they can show reason that they are unable to pay due to hardship, then that can be waived, and they can maintain their voting privileges. So that is shared online, which countries may no longer have their voting privileges, and how much they're in arrears. That's all shared publicly, but that is the mechanism. It's 2 years of arrears of not having paid, not just delayed payment, but of having made no payment at all for
And is
any dues.
any country close to that at the moment, or is there still some time to go?
Yes, no, I think currently Venezuela is currently does not have, has lost their right to vote in the General Assembly. And I think other countries may be in arrears, but have paid something towards the dues and therefore have maintained their right to vote in the GA. And the controller also, the rule is also that if you pay something and you're in arrears, what you've paid is actually applied to the oldest arrears that you have. So any payment that comes in is then applied to your back billing cycles. Yes, hi.
Hi, thank you, Neice. I'm just asking, so in other words, if a country is 2 years in arrears and pays $1, that would mean they would not be the full period in arrears?
Yes,
You
if
know
they
what I
pay,
mean?
if they pay something towards their balance.
I see.
Whether it's $1, I can't confirm that, but something has to be paid towards the balance, and then that will allow them to keep their vote. It's only if you have not paid any of your dues for 2 years. So there are countries who do make delayed payments, who pay late and not in full, and so that is applied to their balance, and then they're able to maintain their vote.
Thank you.
Okay. Well then, if I don't see any more questions, and I don't think there's anyone online. Okay. Yes.
So Venezuela is in the category of And that's been 2 years?
That has been 2 years. So
So will they lose their vote?
they currently do not have their vote. I think currently they are already listed as a country that has lost their vote in the GA.
Oh, yeah, for a year or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. They're the only ones.
Yes, I will look at the full list to confirm that, and I can share that with you and share that around it because that is publicly available information. Any countries that currently cannot vote.
To follow up on that, Neice, but I heard something that has to do with the sanctions, though. Is that correct?
Yes. So that may, for example, Venezuela's situation may be one of the sort of, causes, the reason that they cannot pay. So if they wanted to, say to the UN, unfortunately, right now we cannot pay because of sanctions and we don't have the income coming in, then that could be a reason that they could offer as to why they have not been able to pay and whether they could receive a waiver due to these extenuating circumstances. Yes, absolutely.
One more question, thank
Yes.
you. Today, Israel banned completely Médecins Sans Frontières in the West Bank and Gaza. Does the PGA, being a champion of civil society and humanitarian organizations, does she condemn this act?
She has expressed grave concern over this legislation that has actually been moving through the Knesset since December. And it was Médecins Sans Frontières, along with other civil society organizations. She believes that the people of Gaza have suffered enough and that we have to have unhindered, unfettered humanitarian access so that we can start to address the humanitarian issues that are happening there, whether it's for medical care, whether it's access to food, whether it's access to, hospitals and energy infrastructure. All of the civilian needs of a population need to be met, and this includes allowing civil society organizations, humanitarian aid organizations access to the people of Gaza. So yes, she believes that this legislation is not helping to address the needs, and we also need these things in order to move the ceasefire forward and start the rebuilding process in Gaza. Thanks, everyone.